Ministers and Harry, I want to ask you, I've just read a message I have from a very frustrated hotel owner who Minister Ross and certainly Minister Griffin have visited under time in this Oireachtas. I had a message from him this morning and he's said that he's written to the energy regulator as over €9,000 has been wasted or taken off him and fixed standing charges, site charges, skip charges, wastage, charges of minimum demand charges, electricity and gas since the 3 months. The hotel is closed. His reception is open, but it's not open to the public, answering the phones, but it's nothing. So standing charges. So is there any? He's been hit. Is there any emergency rule to these? And where's the regulator to these utility companies that can charge that kind of 9,000? Multiply. You know what I mean? That's savage money. And the situation regarding insurance then is even a bigger problem, as they pay 100,000 per annum for insurance, which runs from December to December, and he cannot get any credit or guarantee of extra time from his insurance company, other than to be told that he might look at they might look at a discount in the reviews with the same company next year. Dúirt ban lum go dúirt ban leahy, live hostage, get grass. Minister, that's ridiculous. And ministers, so this is a very important flagship hotel in my constituency in South Tipperary on the banks of the Suir. And I want to, and everybody else is the very same. This is only one. Let's put it here. Whether they be pubs, whether they be restaurants or whatever. Standing charges. These are all charges that have crept in by these companies in the last 10, 15 years. And we have a regulator for every one of them. But the regulator is quite simply useless, toothless and fruitless. I mean, he wrote to the regulator. Why is this allowed? I mean, he's not using the facilities that they are certainly. He doesn't mind paying a minimum charge, but that's daylight robbery. And so something has to be done there if we're going to recover our I was going to say fledgling tourism industry. Well, it is a fledgling one now because it stopped and we must try and reincarnate it and let it go. And I salute all the small B&B right up to the big hotel. Whether it's the people on the green and the blue ways that are renting out boats and canoes and indeed kayaks. Whether it's the ice cream shops and whether it's the taxis, whether it's the small minibus operators. We need all those people. We're depending on ourselves. Not the curl Kayla. I'm appealing to people to shop local and staycation this year. It's too dangerous for telling us to fly anyway, so let us support our own country, support our own people. And I want the VAT rate. The Taoiseach said today that he couldn't apply a 0% or a 1% VAT rate, I think, because of EU rules. To hell with the EU rules, I say. We're too used to kowtowing and implementing EU rules. We are Ireland and we want to recover and have a modicum of a livelihood for our wonderful families, many of them just ordinary family businesses that have grown and grown and grown, and give massive employment. You know about Kerry, Minister Griffin, and Minister Ross knows about it, and you've seen it. And you've visited places in Tipperary with me, and I thank you for that, Minister. And incidentally, while I'm at it, we used to be on a car, our father, we're great friends. I wish you well in your retirement, and thank you for your engagement in the many issues I dealt with you. The only area we had difference was in the road traffic bill, which you decided to get not to like me because I had a different view, and that's a pity. Because we need all views here in this house, and we need to work together. But look, I wish you well and your wife Ruth and family, and wish you a happy retirement. If you're, I hear you're writing a book. You probably put me into it. But look, someone said that. But whatever you do, wish you luck, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Look, Minister. The tourism industry is in a bad state, and it needs to be nurtured and it needs to be stimulated. But that kind of carry on for hotels. I had another hotel on to me, trying to avail of the restart grant through the county council on the rate side. Yes, if you haven't the rates paid this year, you can avail of it. He hadn't his taxes up to date because the doors closed suddenly on that date in March, and you couldn't have. So I think for this year, people that are on tax arrears, not arrears, but they're paying them maybe direct debit or whatever, the tap was turned off on their business. So revenue must be flexible here. I'm not talking about outstanding tax bills that are going back over here. I'm talking about the current situation. You must tell the people in revenue to have a hands-off approach here for this year, the accounts for this year, because people haven't. You can't get blood out of a stone. And you can't get money out of people that are not earning money. So simple as that. We need those young people working in those hotels again. We need the housewives working in them and to pay for the kids going through college. We need them badly. So, Minister, that's the area, and also the ferry operators, certainly the bus operators. Now, it's kind of bordering on transport, school, Minister, and transport, but it's the school transport bus. You have 50% of the buses, private companies are still getting nothing. Private bus owners. Anyone that has doing schools mainly, anyone that are contracted to Bus Éireann are getting a 50% payment, which we welcome, and we thank the Minister for putting that in place. But if you're a private bus owner, and there are many, and they service them hills and the glens of Tipperary and Kerry and everywhere else, because Bus Éireann won't go there, they do it many times. Parents organise the route themselves. The buses have to be DOE'd, they have to be insured, they have to be above board and everything else, and that's only right and proper. They're not getting a penny. And many of them are over 66s, they're not getting anything there either, the drivers and the operators. It might be one-man operation. It's a huge lacuna, and it's very unfair, because remember in September, we have bedlam every year in September with people not getting on a bus ticket. But if we hadn't the bus operators to bring the people, and I have one of them in Cape Town myself, at Dennis Whelan, runs a one-man operation there, and there are many more of them, Mr. Toohey up in Nina, they're there. And they pay no rates because they have a mobile bus that's parked beside the house on the yard. They're not in a building, so they're not paying rates, so they can't avail of the grant. And that's a serious issue. It's going to be serious for the schools and for the pupils going back to school, Minister, if you don't get them. So I'm appealing you to look at that, please. Also on the PSO contracts, like the deputy before me, I have important issues. Minister, driving tests. Look, if you can go in a taxi, why can't you do driving tests? I have hundreds of people waiting for driving tests, waiting for the theory tests as well. I think they're starting to go now, and the NCTs. When are the NCTs in my county going to reopen? And will the lifts be working? Because people are driving around now, and we're not sure. I support the NCT 100%, especially for undercarriage, chassis, brakes, steering, all that area underneath, wheels and stub axles. Vital. And if the lifts aren't working, we could be driving defective vehicles, many of us. And we're paying for NCTs, and it's a farce. Because that's the most important part of the thing, the steering and the steering rack, the whole lot. Minister, you might answer those few questions if you can, please.
Thank you, Deputy. Harry.
Thank you very much indeed, Ceann Comhairle. I'd like to reciprocate, if I may, Deputy McGrath's good wishes, and I hope he's not. You can never guarantee that people will retire just because you wish they'll retire, Deputy McGrath. From here or from anywhere else, but let me
Take a compliment when you get it, please.
Let me assure you something. First of all, I want to wish your wife Margaret well, and your daughter Maureen as well. And I think she's got a very, very bright career in front of her as well, maybe as good as your own. If you eventually decide to retire, no doubt she'll be sitting in your seat over there, and she'd be very welcome.
Might be over there, sir. She might be over there.
And let me also say, Deputy McGrath.
Might be over there.
Let me also say, Deputy McGrath. You will get more than a mention in the book. I promise you that. That is.
Every book needs a villain.
Yeah, you will be very.
Every book needs a villain.
Yeah, and I'll obviously get your lawyers onto me before it's published. That's all I say to you. All right. But otherwise, yeah, I wish you great success and happiness and moderation and a really radical change of your views as well, which is going to be difficult for you to achieve. But I'll be watching from the sidelines and cheering you on when you become a kind of moderate, middle of the road politician with liberal views and tolerance and all those great things which you find very difficult.
I thought you keep that for the book.
No, I don't think you're an intellectual. But I will address those issues further in another place. Let me address now the issue of insurance, which you asked about. Deputy Griffin and I met with Insurance Ireland to highlight and discuss some of the difficulties being experienced by the sector, to which you actually referred a few minutes ago. Policies are not designed, and with regard to the failure to pay business interruption cover, which is one of the big problems, policies are not designed to cover pandemics, which you'd be aware of. Insurance works on the basis that only a small percentage of clients make claims, and paying for a pandemic, unfortunately, would require payments to maybe 100% of the clients in certain categories. And no insurance company, I suppose, could be solvent if it was to pay out 100% of its clients. They can only play out where there is specifically stated in the policy, where the pandemic is specifically stated in the policy, which is probably only the case in very, very few numbers. Insurance Ireland has made commitments that if businesses are closed, then this changed the level of cover required, and a pro rata rebate will be given in the form of cash. They've asked insurers to sign up to this and expect this to happen. Chief Executive Officers say that the number of inquiries is actually low, and there are no rejections to adjust cover, which is not required during closure.
It might require another paragraph in the book to reply comprehensively.
Read the book, Deputy. Read the book and you'll get
the issues raised by the Deputy.
Read the book and you'll get the rest of the answer. All right? Okay.
We now go